ADHD is not a weakness. We have the ability to hyperfocus, learn how to make that profitable.
Robert, you grew up with ADHD.
Yes, I was always wired. My dad thought the best thing for me was to run a couple miles before school. He thought the structure was good for me, but 17-year-old kid me. I walked in the front door with a crowbar, and I ended up breaking my hand and the other guy.
Okay.
At that time, I didn't even think about living until 35. I think my oldest daughter saved my life.
Very few people actually truly understand what being neurodivergent really means. These are the things that we're going to discuss to help you get answers that you're looking for.
Robert, so you grew up with ADHD,
Yes.
and you had a father so strict that he told you that he would shoot you in the kneecaps if you ever enlist in the military?
Yes. Yes, after his last deployment, he did not go so well, so he didn't want me to join.
Well, and you have some other stories about your dad. Like, how do you process that kind of childhood?
I mean, it is, I didn't really, I don't know. Like, I don't look at it as like anything other than it just, like, I didn't know any different, to be honest. Like, I mean, I looked around and saw other people, and then people talk about their parents, and I'm like, oh, well, my dad's just this way, you know? I didn't think anything of it, to be honest.
Like this way, like what's another story or two that you can remember that would like really stick out to you?
Well, so like my entire childhood, like, so at a pretty early age, we knew I had ADHD. It was pretty obvious because I was always wired. I mean, I would fall out of my chair in class all the time and stuff like that. But so my dad knew I had ADHD, and he thought like the best thing for me is the military structure. So like from an early age, that's what he did. I mean, like at age of 13, I'd wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, and we'd go run a couple miles before school and all that kind of stuff. So like, I think for him, he thought like the structure was good for me. And all my early childhood, he told me like, oh, you're going to join the military. It'll be good for you. It'll be good for you. But he was deployed 5 times in total. But that 5th time he came back, it didn't go so well for him. He didn't have a good experience. So when he came back, he told me if I join him, he's going to shoot my kneecaps out. So
Were you wanting to join?
at the time, totally. When he told me that, yeah, I totally wanted to. But in the back of my head, I didn't think I was going to be able to because I'm pretty asthmatic as well. So, like, I mean, as long as I had an inhaler, I thought, oh, yeah, I could. But then I found out at some point they don't allow you to have an inhaler in basic training. So I kind of started drifting away from it in the first place at the time anyways. So it kind of wasn't, like, too jarring when he said it. But, I mean, kind of, yeah, I totally wanted to join at first. But
So you had a dad who raised you like a military boot camp.
yes, definitely. I mean, because I was ADHD and I was on ADHD medication, I would have a hard time falling asleep. Like sometimes I wouldn't fall asleep till like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. And so like getting out in the morning was sometimes didn't happen. So, but my dad would wake me up. He would literally just drag me out by my ankle and like throw me in a shower or whatever the case, turn it on and everything. So yeah.
What was the story about like being in the woods and him leaving you
So
there?
like so my dad's the kind of person who doesn't think society is going to last forever. Like he would one of his things is what are you going to do when the streetlights don't work? So he would like at an early age, he would like take me out into the woods and just make me believe that he wasn't there anymore. So we would go out in the woods. My grandma lived out in Texas, and she at the time, it's filled up now with subdivisions, but at the time it was nothing but woods out there. And so, you know, and I'd visit her pretty regularly and everything, and he'd take me. He knew those woods like the back of his hand, and he would take me out there. And
you were how old?
this started at probably around 7, 8 years old.
Okay.
Yeah, and it'd be me and my brother. We'd be out there, and you know, we'd find a creek, and we'd get distracted, you know, trying to play in the creek and stuff, and then we'd turn around, and my dad's gone, you know, and he'd come get us in a couple hours or so. And
What would
yeah.
you do? Were you scared? Were you okay?
At first, yeah, we would kind of panic, you know, like we would be like, what the heck's going on? You know, what do we do? And we'd start looking for him and stuff. But, you know, after doing that so many times and then growing up in those woods myself, you kind of been like, whatever, you know, like we'll find our own way back or whatever. You kind of I call it get your brackets. You kind of figure out where north, south, east, west. You kind of know where you're walking. It kind of makes you start paying attention to things around you. So
this was normal. Obviously.
Yeah, this was normal to me. Like and then when I hear other people who are like, "Oh, I don't like going in the woods," I would be like, "What in the world are you talking about? Why? How? What do you do? What do your parents do?"
I've been alone in the woods since I was 7.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I you kind of grow up with that, and I started to love the woods. To be honest, like one of the hardest things about being in Phoenix is just there's no trees around.
It's true.
So,
Yes. Yeah, not my favorite. I would rather be in the woods in the desert for sure. So, okay, but I want to make sure I understand this right. So, you have a brother who had some brain damage.
yes.
And he joined a gang.
Yes.
And then you tried to get him out of the gang.
Yes.
And ended up running on the streets as a teenager.
Yeah. So my brother, man, I can't remember how old I was. About 17, so he must have been like 7, 6, 5, 4, 14, 15, somewhere around there. He decided he was going to join this group of. Basically, he was just hanging out with the wrong people and joined this gang with them that I thought was just a joke.
And he's high functioning enough, even with.
Yeah, if you talk to him, you wouldn't know immediately. You know him for more than 3 months, though, and you start realizing 1 + 1 = 3 with this kid. So,
Okay.
So yeah, it takes a little bit to realize it, but but anyways, he joined, and then they started. He wanted to get out eventually. At some point in time, he started breaking off with the friends. Things started going south, and then they started showing up at my door looking for him. And I was a hot-headed teenager at the time, so I would tell him to go away. And eventually, at one point, they threatened my entire family to hurt us. And so as a teenager, I thought every fight was worth fighting. Took me until my late 20s to realize that that's not a good mentality to have. And so I showed up at his door one day. And
one of the gang members.
Yeah. Well, so when they started showing up, I told my brother, like, what do we got to do? What do we got to do to end this? Like, who's the person that like I can persuade that maybe will call all this off? And so he knew, and I knew the guy, and so I showed up at his door, and I walked in the front door with a crowbar.
With a crowbar.
Well, the crowbar was used as a key.
Okay.
And then.
Okay.
And then got in a fight. And I ended up breaking my hand and the other guy. But that's when things escalated because of that. So apparently it wasn't some teenagers that I thought they were. I thought it was just some teenage kids and this would be over really quickly. But it ended up, this was a real gang and they were real scary people. And so I started running because, I mean, so I grew up in a small town. This town was like, I think the town was 16,000 people.
Where are you living?
This was in Goldsboro, North Carolina at the time.
Okay.
So it was like 16,000 people. I thought, there's not going to be any real gangs in this town,
Sure.
But.
And you're also 17.
Yeah, I was
so
like.
So you're
16,
invincible?
17. Yeah, I totally thought I was invincible too. That was probably one of my biggest cruxes as a teenager. Was I literally thought I was invincible. I had no fear of anything other than spiders.
But you were scared of spiders.
So I mean, I had a friend who his dad had like a Goldwing Corvette. I drove it like 180 miles an hour. I did all this stuff as a kid.
Well, and you said off camera too, like you said something like, I had ADHD too, so I would just say whatever, go off on whatever, just talk, right?
Yeah, and so I kind of built this like moral compass. I'm quiet until I'm not kind of thing. So like. I did this thing where I would just keep quiet until like there was a line crossed. And then that for me was to be like, okay, now I can go overwhelming, use my ADHD to an advantage, kind of overwhelm the situation. And for the most part, it was effective, but sometimes it got me in a lot of trouble as well. So
now you're on the run.
Yes.
And what does that mean to be on the run?
So, I mean, it wasn't like I had literally people chasing me, but I had to like watch over my back all the time. Like it got to the point where like I could be in a Walmart parking lot and I get jumped, or I can.
You did get jumped.
Yeah, multiple times. In fact, Walmart parking lot was a hot spot in that little town for some reason.
Well, give me more detail. You're getting jumped by how many people? Have you ever wondered if you have ADHD? Well, in some parts of the world, getting a diagnosis can take years. And let's be honest, most people in the US are pretty impatient about getting a diagnosis as well. So I created a short, research-based quiz to help you get clarity fast. Take it now for free at jherisouth.com or use the direct link in the description. Now, let's get back to the show.
It ranged. Sometimes it was just a couple. Sometimes it'd be like 8. Sometimes it would.
Did you end up in the hospital? Broken bones? What happened?
I broke my hand a ton. So I broke my half the bones in my left hand have been broken at one point in time, separate occasions. I broke my left hand 9 times, and my right hand I've broken a total of like 16 times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Surprised it still works.
It doesn't sometimes. It's a lot of pain, and I'm only 37 now, and it's already like in the mornings it's real stiff and everything. So it's my dad used to tell me all the time it's going to catch up to me, and
it always does, yes, right? We're learning.
I used to think like, oh, whatever. What do you know? Like you're just old now. I'm 37. At the age he was telling me these things, I'm like, man, he was so right.
Yeah, we just can't even visualize what that is going to be like when we're younger.
Yeah,
like, yeah, that's going to be in 100 years from now. I don't care.
Yeah. So I mean, at one point though, I literally because it kind of ebbed and flowed in frequency. So like, sometimes it seemed like 2-3 times a week I was getting in a fight. Other times it'd be like once or twice a month. So, but there were a couple times where it got so frequently, like I went in the woods. So I grew up in the woods. So I was like, that was my safe spot.
Your dad really did save you.
Yeah. So at some point, well, he also saved me too, because he also at an early age put me in mixed martial arts. So I was able to hold my own for the most part too. So, but there was a couple.
I didn't know this about you, Robert. I didn't know that you were dangerous.
No, I wouldn't say dangerous. I took it as a kid, so it's not like I mean, I was able to like defend myself, but other than that, I mean, I had my limits. That's for sure.
Okay.
But there was a couple of times where I fled to the woods, and I mean, twice I stood a total of 3 months in the woods just laying low, like. I had my brother, because I would call him up and like, you put me in this situation, you're gonna help me. So I would. We would do these things like we would do dead drops because I was afraid. I mean, they were finding me, so. I mean,
and they weren't trying to find him anymore. It was just you.
It was all about me at this point because I had beat up the wrong kid. So I don't know who he was or anything. I'm guessing he had family or something because that's the tipping point. That's when it escalated. This went from stupid kid stuff to like now there's like grown 38-year-old men beating up a 17-year-old kid, me, and I'm like, that's when I realized like maybe this is more than just some stupid teenage kid stuff.
Did you ever go to the authorities or tell anybody?
So in that small town, they knew me by first name.
Oh, you had a reputation.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
I did go in and out of jail, but I was never like charged with anything because I mean. It's fighting and stuff. So and not to mention they knew like this wasn't a joke. Like they knew this was real stuff. But there's really nothing they can do other than like, because it's not like I could even identify. So the first kid, I could be like, yeah, this is who he is and this is where he lived. But after that, the people that were going after me, some of them I had never seen in my life before. So it's not like I can be like, well, yeah, it was this guy or.
Wow.
Stuff. So it was.
So how did you get yourself out of that situation?
It wasn't until we moved. Being a young, dumb kid, I had my first child at 20 years old. But at 19, my girlfriend at the time, she was 9 months pregnant. And I got jumped at a Walmart parking lot. And after that whole incident went down, she was like, I'm going to join the military and we're going to get out of here. And I didn't have a valid argument. So I was just like, okay, yeah.
But were you experiencing fear all of this time, knowing that you could be jumped or leaving the house?
So like I said, I unfortunately had zero fear as a teenager. Like,
even after you'd been jumped all of these times?
No fear. I did not. Honestly, it was... So I'm extremely defiant, and for me, it was more like, okay, I can handle this. Like, I will get through this. I will figure this out, even though I had no clue what I was doing at the time. But for me, yeah, no, fear would have probably been more healthy for me growing up as a child because I mean, most of my problems probably stemmed from the ADHD and the lack of impulse control and absolutely fear. The only fear I had of anything was spiders for some reason. I hate spiders and my mom.
Your mom?
Yes.
Why your mom?
Because my mom, this poor lady should have had a heart attack. I mean, I put her through some extreme stuff, and fear was the only motivator she had or any control. So she did not hesitate to put the belt on me. Which was, again,
But not your dad. Your dad didn't do that. Your mom did.
No, so my dad was the talker. My mom was the enforcer.
Interesting.
Totally yeah. So my dad was a hard person. He was tough on me. I mean, definitely, this is what you're going to do. This is how you're going to do it. Long lectures for hours. But when it came to who I'd rather go to deal with, it would be my dad, because my mom didn't mess around. She had two boys. She had a brain damaged brother and a brain damaged younger child and a ADHD older child. So, I mean, that poor woman went through it with us. And I mean, it was so bad. She got so used to me and my brother fighting that she didn't care that we were bloodying each other up. She was more concerned about get out of my house. You're going to break my stuff.
Okay. Yes. She's desensitized at this point.
Totally
I don't care what happens. Just get out.
She became 100%. And if you meet my mom now, you would never guess, because she is the most docile human being
really
ever. But I think teenage boys kind of put some fire under her.
Well, your mom ended up, from what I understand, really helping you, because after you had your second child, was it at age 24?
Yeah. At 24, I had my second daughter. And at the time, my ex-wife, we started drifting apart. So I was basically raising the little one by myself since she was 3 months old.
Oh, wow.
Didn't actually separate until she was almost a year old. I didn't leave Mississippi because we moved from North Carolina to Mississippi. I didn't move Mississippi until she was almost a year old. Came here mainly because, raising kids was never it wasn't a daunting task to me. So my mom did home daycare for a long time. So kids, I kind of always was good with kids.
So you had two kids at this point?
Yep. Avery, they were 4.5 years apart. So Avery was probably about 5 at the time, almost 5.5.
And you moved to Arizona, so yes. You and your wife,
we separated at that time. And then I moved here because of my mom.
And you took the children?
Yeah, so
you've been a single dad? Yeah,
single dad for, how old is she now? So about 12, almost 13 years. So, yeah.
Wow.
Some of their mom's back in their life more now than ever, but yeah, single dad.
But for a long time, you were a single dad.
Yeah.
So that's interesting. This journey is so interesting, right? From going after gangs and being jumped multiple times to now being a dad of 2 daughters, right?
Yes.
So as someone with ADHD and this journey of not caring, being rebellious, and now having to transition pretty quickly into being a single dad, what was that experience like for you? What were some of the changes?
Honestly, I have said this once, probably say it a million more times. I think my oldest daughter probably saved my life, because I went from this rambunctious, full throttle teenager to getting all sorts of trouble. Honestly, at that time, I didn't even think about living until 35. I was just right now kind of person, to having my daughter, which kind of put my life in perspective, put my feet on the ground, kind of made my life not about me anymore, kind of focused on my daughter. And then, so when she was born, I went to a temp agency. So this is a small town. There wasn't very many job prospects in the beginning anyways. So, I went to a temp agency, and they were like, can you be are you a machinist? And I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, you just operate machinery. And I was like, yeah. So I totally lied, got my first job as a machinist at, I think I was either 18, it must have been 19. It must have been.
Could you do it? You said you could do it. What happened?
So because of my ADHD, at least that's what I attribute it to. I'm an incredibly fast learner because I just have no fear. I dive into things and I can figure out and land. I tell my daughter all the time, fall gracefully and get back up quickly, because that's all ADHD is to me. I could try 50 billion things. Yeah, about probably 80% of those things are dumb. But some of those things do stick. And so I think because of that rapid fire of just like try, fail, try, I can kind of, that's kind of what I used my ADHD for. And
resiliency.
yeah. And so I'm also an incredibly defiant person. You tell me I can't do something, I'm like a million times more likely to go do it now because you just told me I can't do it. So.
Yeah. But really, that helps with success, right? I'm not scared of failure.
I mean, like, it's fake it till you make it. And I mean, that is I mean, it is true and it's not true because at some point you're not faking it anymore, you know, and it's just try. And that's, I mean, you're going to fail. Anybody who thinks you could pick up anything and just start being expert at it is crazy. I don't think that happens. I think everybody has to go through the trials and tribulations till they get good at something.
So the growth happens.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? That's sort of like, I look at my life and the times that was the very hardest, I had so much more growth than maybe the 10 years before. It's so necessary, even though none of us want to go through it.
Yeah.
But it looks like you've had a lot of growth. So you've worked in a lot of different jobs. Machinist, you're working, like you're doing cardboard. I don't even know what that means.
So I had at some point, I was talking to this guy, he's a friend of mine, and he was like, dude, like in Arizona alone, do you know how much cardboard makes? Like how much money is in cardboard? And I was like, cardboard? No. Why in the world would there be? And I can't remember the exact numbers, but we had figured like if we could just get 1% of that slice in the cardboard industry, we would be millionaires. So we decided to make this company. I wasn't the brainchild. I was the machinist behind the thing. So I had a guy who was an engineer. I had a guy who had the idea, and we just started making cardboard boxes. So we had this computer program. Say you bring in any product, you can like scan the product, and we had this computer program that would like make 50 different combinations of a box, and then the customer would be like, oh, I like that one, and I want those images on it. And so we can make a mock-up in like 20 minutes on what's called a CAD table. And then from there, the guy would be like, well, I need about 8,000 of these boxes a month. And be like, okay, so we had this like die that we'd make. It's just basically like a plywood where you put razors and metal on it with foam. And then I would make I made 3 different machines, each one getting faster and faster, where basically we're just pushing the cardboard on this piece of plywood with razors, and then you pull it up and it's just a cardboard box that you can fold up. And so,
wow. I guess I never thought about that before as a career path, but now I know you can just make cardboard.
Well, especially these days with like, if you look on YouTube, like there's these people who like the opening experience, like they have these like cardboard, and that's the boxes we would do. These boxes weren't like just regular cardboard boxes. These were like full color, like we were going for that opening experience that you saw on YouTube a lot. And we were pretty good at it between the 3 of us. So.
Interesting. Those are the kinds of things you don't sit up and think about at night.
No,
like, who makes those cardboard boxes?
Honestly, when he had first come up with this idea, I thought, like, what are you talking about? Why would we go into the cardboard industry? Like, this is insane. But then he's like starting to talk some sense into it, and you're like, okay, I can actually see where this is going. And we were pretty successful at it for a while there. It was until he got a divorce, and then he started funneling money somewhere else. We started deciding.
Everyone has a story like that, right?
Yes, where you go into the business with the wrong person. And that's when I realized, like, you really got to be choosy who you go in business with, because you're going to be seeing that person more than you see your family, and you're going to be working with that, relying on that person more than your own family. So you need to really make sure you can trust that person.
I've definitely had experiences like that in different show, right? So, but then eventually you decided to get into HVAC. So tell me about that, because there were some struggles along the way getting into HVAC.
Yeah. So when I was at that box company, actually, funny story, we were renting this giant warehouse where the guy had partitioned it off to where like half of it was for us that he rented out, and the other half he was running an HVAC shop out of it. And he had 3 Roberts that worked over there.
3 Roberts?
Yes. And so
you're the 4th Robert.
Yes. And so when we would order food, it would never go to the right spot, because the receptionist over there would be like, oh yeah, we have Robert working here. She would just grab the food and the guy would walk off and everything. So eventually we just started getting to the point where it's like, why don't we just order from the same place and have lunch at the same time, so we could just all sit and just have lunch? So that's what we started doing. And then when we started getting to the point where I started seeing the writing on the wall, seeing it was like, man, we're not going to be able to maintain this business anymore. I was talking to one of the Roberts was actually the owner of that HVAC company. And I was talking to him like, man, I don't know if we're even going to make rent next month. And he's like, I saw the writing on the wall. Don't worry, you know. And I was like, well, I don't know what I'm going to do because I don't want to go back into machining. Because machining, unfortunately, is kind of like a factory job. And a lot of places lay off or you deal with like this kind of stuff. And so he was like, well, why don't you get into HVAC? I was like, I don't know. I kind of want to just like, I love tinkering with machines. And he's like, stupid, what do you think I do all day? So he's like, I was like, well, how do I get into HVAC? He's like, well, you could just apply. But honestly, if you want to really get into it, go to HVAC school. And so I was like looking into HVAC school, found one that was at a decent price. And so
How much was it when you went through?
mine with a Pell Grant and everything, I only paid $3,600.
Oh, okay.
36, 37,
That's
somewhere
good.
around there. Yeah. So it was a lot cheaper than some other schools.
Yes.
And from everything I was reading, you know, the school, all the schools were around the same, what they taught you. So, I mean, pay cheaper for it.
Right.
So I went there and I was trying to do Uber and Lyft at the same time because, you know, I got kids and everything. So at some point going to HVAC school, my car got repossessed because I couldn't afford to pay it. So I was like literally borrowing my mom's car, going to HVAC school until at some point midway through the class, I was able to find a job as an installer. That's where I met Brad. So
Brad's my husband.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. It's just in case anyone doesn't know. So the reason I know Robert is because Brad works with my husband.
Yep. So that's where I met Brad, and then that's where we started. Did installs, moved to tech.
Because you did work with another company. You were a manager for really.
Yeah. So after I left Collins, I went to work for a company called Semperfi, and I quickly made manager there. I was their lead technical advisor for a while, and then I was working anywhere between 100 to 115 hours a week. And even in the middle of October, I mean, there was just so much because I was also their warranty department at the time. Like they didn't have one. I was the warranty department. So, I mean, I couldn't even take a day off. And so after about 8 months of that, you know, I was making great money. Don't get me wrong. But at some point you look at how much money you're making and you just start to get resentful just because, I mean, I wasn't home. At some point, I think the final straw for me realizing that I needed to quit was, you know, I got home early. It was before sun went down for once. And my little one, I had to go potty, and she wouldn't let go of me. And my mom turned around real quick, was like, well, maybe if you're home more often. I was like, yeah, probably should do that. So I quit, went to a company called Plum Smart. But after my experience from the last place, I kind of wanted to just lay low. So I didn't tell them what I knew, didn't tell them like I could do all the stuff I do.
Yeah, because you are a quick learner.
But I went back down to being like just a basic tech, doing regular low-level stuff. It wasn't until they started to realize like, oh, you can do stuff. And then at some point, they were trying to get me on the management side, but I kind of, at that point, I was so turned off by it. I just didn't want to do it. I think that last company ruined my experience with it. I was just so deathly afraid to work endless hours. So I kind of left Plum Smart and then went to a company called Superior where I basically helped start that company out. They were a company before, but they had changed hands and all the previous employees had left. So we started from scratch. So I kind of helped start that company up. And then shortly after that, that's when Brad and I started going out.
Well, it makes sense because you do have a really strong work ethic. I mean, Brad gives you a lot of compliments, how good you are at electrical work, how quickly you pick things up. And just watching you, like Brad needs anything. He can call you at 6 o'clock Sunday morning or 9 o'clock Saturday night, and you're always available. You're always going out and working. And so that's always been very impressive to him, but myself as well. Like, wow. I mean, I think once a day, Brad will turn to me and say, Robert's the best dude. Like just loyal, hardworking. Yeah. I mean, really been really a huge blessing. He'll say all the time, because my husband owns his own HVAC company, and he brought Robert on so that they can run it together. And he'll always say, I couldn't do this without Robert. Yeah,
honestly, that's awesome to hear. But Brad's awesome too, because like that's the only reason why I agreed to go into business is with Brad. I had a couple offers before, and I was like, I don't know about you. But when Brad said something, I'm like, well, heck yeah, dude, we'll do this, because Brad's the same. Like, Brad's hardworking. You always rely on Brad to get going and doing stuff, which is the most important thing, to be honest.
And you guys work, right? Because Brad likes to just be quiet and listen, and probably you like to talk. I'm sure he talks sometimes, but
Actually, he does most of the talking.
He does?
I'm actually incredibly antisocial. I don't like people. I'm horrible. So it's weird. So in HVAC, it's my zone. So like, I can deal with people, I can deal with customers and everything. But for the most part, even if at family functions, I'm kind of removed. I don't do social very often. So.
That doesn't seem to match what I'm seeing right now. You don't.
Well, so it goes back to that fake it till you make it thing. So like, my dad has severe social anxiety, and I just didn't want that for myself. And my dad used to be so bad, he refused to go to the grocery store by himself. He'd like, the act of going to pay for the stuff, like, he's fine going into the grocery store, but as soon as you go to the counter, he starts buzzing out.
Really?
Yeah, you could see the anxiety level go up. And so I would see how debilitating that was. And I could see that, like, oh, I have social anxiety. So I was like, man, I don't want that. So I just got used to throwing if I'm uncomfortable in something, I'm going to throw myself into it, just because
I love that.
I don't want that for myself. So, yeah.
You don't want anything to have control over you.
Yeah, exactly. It's the defiance in me. Like, I'm totally defiant. If anything in the world is like, you can't do that, I'm like, well, guess what I'm about to do?
I'm still stuck on Brad does most of the talking. Like,
yeah.
Really?
So Brad is more reserved than I am.
Definitely.
And
yeah.
so because of that, I let him take the lead, because there are some customers where I don't, you gotta be more dominant,
Mm-hmm.
and I can be a little overbearing sometimes. So I just like, okay, let Brad deal with it. I'll only step in if I need to, kind of thing. Or I'm a little better at explaining certain things. So sometimes I can see that glossed over. He's trying to go into like the technical stuff, and I'll start explaining, pulling things in from a layman's terms. But other than that, Brad does most of it, and he's pretty good at it. He's been doing great so far. So.
Yeah, you guys are a really good team. Well, I drive him crazy because I just talk. But it works really well because he pretends to listen most of the time. We'll just be driving, and he's just so happy to let me talk. And I just talk. And then every now and then, if something he's passionate about, he'll join in and talk. And by then, I'm kind of exhausted. I've been talking for, 3 hours.
I do the same thing to him in the truck, so don't
That's
feel...
what I meant. I was like, I think it probably works really well.
You prepped him for me, and that's how he can stand to be in with the truck.
Oh, he loves
me.
you. He loves being, he says that all the time. Like, I'm just so lucky. I'm just driving around with, like, my best friend working. So, okay, but hold on. Let me see what I want to ask you. A lot of people who are ADHD, and whether they have social anxiety or not, they do talk a lot or have a lot to say. Have you heard things like that? Like, what do I want to ask you? Oh, just like he's very ADHD, or he just talks a lot. Has that been something, or any other kind of negative messages that have been reinforced over the years? And if so, how has that affected you?
I don't let anything affect me, to be honest. Like, nothing affects me. You could say, oh, you talk too much. I'll be like, yeah, probably. I've definitely been told I could talk too much sometimes.
Nothing? Is it true that nothing, didn't mean to interrupt you, but nothing affects you?
Yeah, my feelings don't get hurt very often.
Really?
I don't. So when I was young, I used to care what people but I think that's what brought my anxiety. And again, like I said, I saw my dad, my mom too. My mom has horrible anxiety too, and I just saw how it controlled a lot of what they did. And
so how did you overcome that?
In middle school, somebody spit in my face because I didn't want to get up from my lunch seat, and I don't know, I snapped at that point. And realized, he spit in my face, and I got suspended from school, getting in a fight and everything. And after I came back from school, people had a little more respect for me. And I equated that, not because of the fight, I equated that to, I was more myself in that moment. I didn't care what anybody thought of me in that moment. And that's kind of when I started putting two and two together. I'm more happy when I stopped caring what other people think about me. I just can be me. And so I stopped. I used to be, even as a teen, before middle school and everything, I used to like, my music was shaped by, well, other people like my music too, that kind of, and then I realized like, I just don't care anymore. I'm happy listening to my music. If other people don't like it, okay, that's fine.
At that young of an age, you were able to switch your mindset to just not care.
Yeah, and again, I attribute that to my dad, because my dad taught me, if it's the one thing he taught me, it was self-discipline, and inadvertently, that was probably the best thing ever for somebody with extreme ADHD, because I was extreme ADHD. So, I mean, did it stop my impulse controls? Probably not, but I was able to like at least change some things. And then as I got older, that self-discipline got stronger and stronger to the point where I don't take medicine or anything like that. I mean, not that I think medicine is a bad thing. I think medicine's a good thing to teach people what the other side is like, but
yeah.
I don't really mind what other people think of me at all. Doesn't bother me one little bit.
But it shows how powerful the mind is.
Yeah.
That you're just really focusing on something. And I do agree with you. We apologize in advance to our parents, but we're always trying to do things differently than our parents and then adopt the things that we love that they did. But the gift of, I do not want to have that characteristic, right, or exhibit that kind of behavior, does give, I think, the brain a hyperfocus. That's the gift. Because if you don't have that example, you might actually become that thing, right?
Yeah, and that's kind of like ADHD. Don't get me wrong. My daughters are both ADHD, so I tell them all the time, like, you hear the word disability with ADHD a lot, and I tell them all the time, I don't think it's a disability. I just think it's a different mindset. And so, like, there is negative traits with ADHD, but there's also a lot of positive traits with ADHD. Like, you just got to learn how to strengthen the weaknesses and tone back some of the little negatives with that and lean into the strengths. That's just what's
do. One strength that you can think of that's really helped you through your ups and downs that you appreciate about ADHD?
For me, it's the rapid fire. So my brain's a million miles an hour all the time. Like, it's just go, 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 go. And I've learned to channel that, like, and so, like, yeah, sure. Like, say when it comes to like HVAC, I go to a system, I don't know what's wrong. This is a problem I've never seen. I've got 50 billion ideas what could possibly be wrong. Yeah, probably 90% of those are absolutely asinine. Like, you wouldn't, but there's some few good ideas, and then I'll try those. Oh, that didn't work. And I'm not afraid of failure, so I'll try this, that didn't work. Oh, I'll try this, that didn't work. Oh, I'll try this, that didn't work. But I mean, because I'm ADHD and I'm able to like just keep going at it, I eventually figured out the problem. So I'm really good at troubleshooting because I attribute it 100% to like, I'm ADHD. This is why I'm good at troubleshooting. I'm not afraid of failure. I can try a million things at once and see what sticks.
Failure's not an option.
Failure's not an
It's
option.
a challenge,
yes.
right?
Which for me, I always, Brad will probably hear me say it a lot too. I'm always like, challenge accepted, because if we haven't seen it before or whatever, like, even if it's commercial, like sometimes, that's another thing too with ADHD. You got to learn when to bow out. Before you make a mess of something, sometimes I'll take a look at it and go, this is probably not for me. So there's like high-end systems called chiller systems. But they're expensive, and I haven't dabbled in them. And even though I want to, probably not while you're on your own dime is probably the wrong time to dive into those kind of things. So
But that's a good acknowledgement that you know when. Like, you still have enough control over yourself, even if you're impulsive, that you know when to stop. Yeah. That's discipline.
Yeah. And that's one of the hardest things, I think, with ADHD is learning when to pull back, I think. Because I attacked everything I did with such vigor that you'd start digging a hole sometimes. And then because of my defiance, I'd just keep digging the hole and going, it's got to get better at some point, but not everything gets better sometimes.
Well, and that's a lot of maturity too.
Yeah.
I mean, your brain finishes developing, you go through some difficult times and you learn some things, right?
Yeah.
Because I think a large part of treatment for ADHD is learning how to manage your brain. It's just learning what are your brain's tendencies, what are your triggers, what helps, what are the things that usually send you down a spiral loop, and what are your strengths. It's just understanding yourself, really, and then coming up with your own processes and tactics for overcoming those things that get in the way.
Yeah, and also as an ADHD person, I think learning to disconnect is a pretty good thing too. So like, I mean, personally, for me, like, I play video games, and they're dumb video games. Like, I like playing Minecraft because I can put on a podcast, I could play Minecraft and I could just turn off the million-mile-an-hour brain for a little bit. Like, I can't sit in a quiet room, so I had to learn how to learn to quiet down the brain, get some R&R in there.
Yeah.
In the meantime, I do really think that that's a value. Like, you, especially as an ADHD person, like, I do get to the point where I'm just like, the brain's still going a million miles an hour, but it ain't working like it should.
Yeah.
So we gotta get some R&R in there.
Definitely.
At the end of the day.
Well, so if you could go back to teenage Robert, 17-year-old teenage Robert, now knowing what you know, and you have ADHD, what would you tell younger Robert?
Oh.
There's probably so many. And I'm putting you on the spot, but like if you could just pick one thing, what do you think you would tell your younger self?
Oh, man. Calm down. Probably.
Calm down.
Calm down. It's gonna.
Do you think you were looking for hope, or what were you looking for at that age?
See, that's the thing. I don't know what I wasn't looking for anything in particular. I was an adrenaline junkie. That's kind of, I think, what part of it was. I probably stopped being an adrenaline junkie, stopped chasing that adrenaline, because, I mean, I would do anything that would get that adrenaline pumping. And that's,
what would you do instead? If you were going to say, hey, stop being an adrenaline junkie, it's not good for you, but here's a better way.
Honestly, I would say get into HVAC school a lot earlier.
There you go.
To be honest.
Because you're so good at it.
Yeah, and it meets all of the criteria that I personally needed. So like I wasn't built for an office job. It's something that's physically demanding. It's something I'm never in the same place very often. It checked all the ADHD markers boxes. Like, even as a machinist, though, I was tinkering with machines. At some point, though, because I'm ADHD, I get bored with stuff really fast. And just the four walls, I started feeling like a hamster. So like the HVAC part of it is so much better because now I'm not in the same four walls and that kind of stuff. So I would tell myself, definitely focus on getting that HVAC certificate a lot sooner. Probably be a lot more ahead in life if I did.
And there's probably people listening that think, oh, I tried HVAC. It was boring. It was like the machinist job. But there also is a part of that that's working for the right company. You guys really have started the company from the ground up, enjoying who you're working with. Every company is different, and the way you run the company is different. So sometimes I think we try things and we're like, oh, that's not really for me, but we weren't creative enough to make sure that the thing we're doing also fits into, our skills and abilities. And what we want.
I think that's an ADHD thing too. Like ADHD, you only have two modes. You attack it with such tenacity that failure is not an option, or we try something, go, that wasn't me, and then
exactly.
Yeah, and that's it is very hard to like sometimes keep yourself in that mindset of like keep going, because with ADHD, it's like at home, sometimes I am like, there are some days I don't even get out of bed. I guess I'm like, nope, I'm not moving today. It's so hard. But
you guys work a lot, to be fair. Yeah. Sometimes you're walking in the door at midnight.
Yeah, but I can get stuck in that. Like, for me, I realized like I can get stuck in that mode. Like if I don't have like something to pull me out. So like if I'm at home with no clear cut, this is the mission, I will be lazy all day long.
Yes.
The getting up and get the first initial, I call it getting up and putting your boots on. That's the hardest part of every day for me. Like, once I do that, okay, I got my boots on. Let's go do the day. But getting up to get the boots on at the first place is the hardest part.
It's a real thing for ADHDers too, though. They don't usually fall into a deep sleep until much later than the average person.
Yeah.
So they're dead of the night asleep later into their sleep. And so it's difficult to get up. That's a real thing.
Yeah, and for the longest time, I had a horrible sleep routine. And that's why I kind of like value, like, that's why I say, like, you got to find that thing that, as an ADHD person, you can't just sit in a silent room. You got to like find that thing that allows you to kind of, as much as you can, turn off your brain, because that's what I do every night. Sometimes I'll go home and I'm so tired, but I can't just go home and go to sleep. That's not an option for me. I will go home, turn on my video games. Sometimes I just turn it on and I'll play for like 2 minutes, but that's enough to put my mind at like, okay, time to go to sleep.
Yeah.
And so you got to find that thing that like is able to turn off your brain, because I think as ADHD people, we just can't voluntarily turn it off.
And it's different for everyone. That's true. Okay, so I really appreciate you being here. Final question, because your story proves that ADHD doesn't just look like one thing. There's lots of different paths. There's ups and downs, right?
Yes.
Like, and look at you. It can go anywhere because really, the audience doesn't know. I would consider you to be, very successful. You seem to love your job. You work with someone that you love. You have raised your girls. You're a very good dad. Ladies, he's single. If anyone's looking, he's a catch. One of the nicest, most loyal, trustworthy people that I know. We're like really happy that you work for Brad. But what I want to know is, or what could you share with the audience for anyone who is struggling or has been struggling with ADHD and maybe they're still in the thick of it? What advice would you give them to help them get their footing?
Learn to use it's not a weakness. ADHD is not a weakness. Just learn how to use the strengths that you have. Like ADHD has some strengths. Yeah, there's definitely some negatives, but it's the same thing I tell my daughters all the time. You just got to learn how to change, like, whatever it is. Like, your brain's moving at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and we have the ability to channel that. Just figure out what it is you can channel it in. Because, you have a hyperfocus. You do have a hyperfocus. Learn how to make that profitable. That's the one thing that's what I learned. I love tinkering with machines. I had to learn how to turn that profitable, and I turned to HVAC. That's how I did it. But like my oldest daughter, she's just like me in almost every way, and she's the same way. But I tried to get her in HVAC. Wasn't for her, but she wanted to do auto mechanics, so I pointed her in diesel mechanics because I make a little bit more money.
Wow, is she good at that?
She just started the class, but she seems like to be really enjoying it. So yeah, she's loving it. Right now, my youngest one's 13, and she's definitely super ADHD too. Still learning what we can channel that into. Mm-hmm. Right now, she's into beauty products, but she's 13. That could change tomorrow.
She's a girly girl.
Yeah. So.
Well, it's a good point that you make, though, because I think a lot of people do try to hyper-focus on things that they either really don't enjoy.
Yes.
Because we're listening to people all the time. You should do this. You should do that. Or someone in the family's doing it. So we shame ourselves for not being able to be successful at something. But hyper-focus requires novelty, interest, competition, or passion. And so I think you are really onto something, that finding the thing that gets your brain engaged. Because if I ask ADHDers, if I were to ask you, if you can get your brain engaged and you can get it to stay engaged, is there anything that you couldn't accomplish?
I'd probably not. But
there you go.
Yeah, it's just the hyper-focus thing. That's the key. Find that thing you can hyper-focus on. Because on the flip side, there are things that I wish I could hyper-focus on, and I can't get myself to do it. Like, there's no way. I would love, instead of doing HVAC, to be able to sit behind a computer and do a job in an air-conditioned spot sometimes instead of crawling around in attics.
So hot in Arizona.
But there's just no part of me that can do it. I cannot bring myself to do it. So find that you do have the ability to hyper-focus on certain things. Just, like I said, figure out what that thing is.
I love it. Robert, this was such a great conversation.
Awesome.
Thanks for coming here and being vulnerable and telling us your story.
Problem.
There were a lot of things I heard that I had never heard before. So, yeah, Brad does not come home and tell me anything. And I kind of resent him for that. I'm like, tell me something good.
That's
He's
a
like,
total
nothing.
man thing. My mom, my kids, they all say the same thing. And they'll be like, how was your day? I'll be like, meh, whatever.
Like, how did you drive around in a car all day, all week? Nothing happened? He's like, not that I can remember. Well, I'll remember every detail of everything.
Yeah, and I think, because I maybe he does the same thing. I compartmentalize. Like, I come home and be like, what happened today? I'll be like, I don't know.
It'll be like a week later. He'll be like, oh, I forgot to tell you, Robert fell through the ceiling. I'm like, how did you forget to tell me that? Oh, yeah, it was crazy. I don't know. I just forgot. I'm like,
I think that's a total man thing to do.
Yes.
My family says the same thing. They're like, you hardly say you do anything. You're just like, oh, it's just work. I'm like, yeah. And then, sitting sometimes I'll be like, oh, yeah, this reminds me of that. And they're like, when did that happen to you? I'm like, oh, just the other week. They're like, why didn't you say anything last week? I was like, I don't know.
I know. But you know what? That's okay. I can deal with that. It's fine. But I told him, like, why don't you just start driving around, just record some of your, as soon as Robert starts saying something interesting, just hit the record button, come home and play it. But he's definitely not going to do that. So anyways, Robert, I really appreciate you. Thanks for coming on.
No problem.
It was great.